the VP of programs did prep for everyone, it seemed like. So there was additional prep left over on things. So I did move some of those hours back there based on my calculations that I've commonly used. The marketing for direct services isn't one, as I've said before. So I end up getting to 15.63% as direct services. And the speaker that talked during open forum said that the workshop prep they sometimes did with the groups. So even if I included all that workshop prep, I got 22.81% as going to direct services. So unless if someone can convince me otherwise, I'm leaning towards a no on this application, which I'll explain in full depth later.
Okay. Representative Schlitt.
Yeah, going off of what Representative Meyer and Representative Rowland said, I was more generous than they were, and it didn't get the 50+1. I didn't count resource, research, creation, and distribution, networking, research, and distribution, communicate direct services to campus, or workshop advocacy development. A lot of it seemed like double counting to me. I mean, just between prep, development, things like that. And then, and especially, with communicating your direct service to campus, it's basically more advertisement than it is offering anything. And same with marketing direct services to campus also. Same idea, kind of advertising. So with that, when I take those out, like I said, I was more generous, but I got 49%, which is not above the 50+1 criteria. So unless I can be convinced otherwise, I'm going to be voting nay on this application.
Representative Momstad?
I think I'm going to go back to more what Representative Vine said and kind of look at the first question under the direct service requirements. I'm not, like he said, I think he said it well, I don't really see the direct service in this at all, looking through their eligibility application. I think we got to direct this debate back to whether they're even providing a service at all. I think we need to, I'd like to hear some more debate about that. So, yeah.
Okay. Are there any other points of debate? Representative Schlitt?
This is more so a question directed towards Representative Malstead or Vines. Is that?
I mean, you have to direct it to me, but I can.
Okay, the OT.
Which
okay,
seems
that's
really
right.
bureaucratic,
That's
but
right.
yeah.
I know I haven't done this.
Sorry.
Okay. No, I'm just curious if the confusion is over, that we're just saying that we really don't know what advocacy is, so we don't know how to break it down between campaigns, so we're just not sure. So why add any value to that? Or if we're saying when we break advocacy down into campaigns and other things offered, the majority of it doesn't fulfill that direct service criteria. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay.
And Representative Vines is next on the speakers list, so I don't even yield.
Oh, that was supposed to be answering. That wasn't the speakers list, but
what?
That was supposed to be answering on speakers list.
Well, go for it. Yes.
I think that their mission, what they say, their direct service to help students promote issues that matter to them through a variety of different methods and tactics. I think that the mission, what they have on paper there, is something that would be a direct service. But I don't think that based on what their implementation is and based on what they say that their programs are, I don't think the actual implementation of what they say they're doing is a direct service. Because I do think advocacy is a direct service. I do think generally campaigns are, as long as they're open and accessible to students and they can work and they can work to advocate for issues they believe about and that affect campus and reach out to everybody on campus. I think that can be a direct service. However, they're not saying that that's their direct service, and what they're saying their direct service is mostly seems to be either events or either events or speakers or bringing people in to listen to their to teach students from these outsiders, honorarius perspective of what they're as a direct service, and I don't think that's a direct service. I think their mission, what they say they do, could definitely be considered a direct service. I think campaigns are a direct service. I just don't think what they do, and based on what was presented and based on the amount of confusion that's been here, I don't think there's a clear and identifiable one. That's just my concern.
Vice Chair Vandenave?
Nothing I would say would just echo mostly what Representative Vines has talked about, but you got to remember that the burden of the proof's on the group. If they can't come forward to us and demonstrate that they have a specific and identifiable direct service, we should make all the attempts we can to get to the bottom of, what we need to get to the bottom of, but in the end, it's up to them to do that rather than us go searching for something that may or may not be there, so.
Secretary Harris.
Yeah, so I think they have elements of a great direct service. Oh, they have elements of a direct service.
There you go.
There we go. But it's not all together yet. And it was a lot of confusion. Even after he spoke, it was still a lot of confusion. I definitely don't think the stewardship was a direct service. And then it also goes back to, you have all those interns, but how the numbers just don't add up. Even with them on a sheet of paper, it just doesn't look like Representative Vine said, like something's missing here. And you really can't want an identifiable service. You really can't identify one. I mean, the examples they gave was kind of even vague at that. So for me, I don't feel comfortable saying, yes, they have identifiable service if they really wasn't able to identify one and give like a couple of examples. It was like, okay, well, they wanted to help clean. They really didn't explain, okay, what'd you go through? Like, what are the steps that you did to show them to get them to create a campaign around getting students to clean up State Street? Like, what'd you do? It just wasn't explained well enough to me to believe it was a direct service. So that's where I'm at right now. I kind of don't even feel like I have enough. I kind of don't feel like we can even do the 50% plus one, because I can't see what the direct service is to be doing the 50% plus one. So, yeah.
Representative Crandall?
So I guess I want more debate on this, because if I do count what their direct service is as a direct service, I do get above the 50 plus 1% threshold just barely. And that's looking through all the other hours and the breakdown of hours and taking out the research and go through here. Networking, research and distribution, research creation, distribution, some of the stewardship prep. I asked a question about the workshop prep, and I feel that it was a good justifiable answer, but honestly I'm sort of confused about how much of that is prep and how much of that is working with the group or the individual. So I mean, I'm sort of just counting that in the total count, but I don't really know the breakdown of that. And then there was just, like some other members have mentioned, there seemed to be a bit of doubling up of perhaps the research and as well as the advocacy, the 3 advocacy parts of the workshop. But going back to sort of the argument at hand about their actual eligibility, in fact, of the actual, if the advocacy training program is a direct service, there's a bit of confusion in the application, I think, because in one part it gives a whole paragraph about how the service is initiated by request, and then how the training and program is put on, and how if there's larger requests, it's put into a campaign. And it seems really, really great and everything under first-time funding requesters. But then if you go all the way back up to the top, it says the advocacy training program, let me see here, is on a weekly basis in a set format, twice a week. And that sort of just really confused me, because later it's like, oh, it's a really requestable, tailorable service, and then it says, oh, this is a set format twice a week and another set day for this, and a one-time thing for this. Same thing with the stewardship program, except that at least goes and says is offered as requested by students seeking this direct service. So I counted those hours into the direct service. So that was great. But it seems like there's a little confusion with the advocacy training program within the application on whether it's requestable or not. So I'm sort of a little bit confused, and like a previous representative said, it's on the burden of the group to sort of get rid of that confusion. I guess I just wasn't able to get less confused.
Information.
On point.
If we mark that there is, that we know for the first question under direct service requirements, do they provide a specific and identifiable direct services to direct service? For the questions below it, starting with is the direct service the primary first of the group, would it be not applicable? Or for all the rest, they provide mission statements itself, but would everything below that be not applicable, educational, primary focus?
It would have to be. It would have to be if you don't think it's a direct service, then you couldn't answer those questions.
Point of information.
On point.
Would it be better to still answer those, assuming that they were a direct service, or there was a specific ident?
No.
No, never mind. I'm just saying to prevent problems later
Yeah,
on.
nope.
Okay.
Representative Levenger.
Yeah, I agree with both Representative Vine and Representative Crandall. And basically, everybody who's spoken about the confusion of the application itself. I cannot identify a specific and identifiable direct service as defined by ASM bylaw 2.0323C2C. I was just very confused in general as to what was a direct service, what was not. A lot of the hours seemed to be doubled up, and so I wasn't sure if I could even make a fair judgment of which hours to keep or not. So I think before even going on the 50+1, I will say that it did not seem like a direct service to me.
Representative Lorraine.
Yeah, I'm having issues. I think there's a lot of contradictions in this application. Even if, I mean, I'm leaning toward considering advocacy and stewardship at direct service, but even if I do that, I have no idea which hours to use. I mean, when I look at the original budget narrative, it says, for example, the VP Public Relations Officer does 100% marketing and basically 0% direct services, and then on their new hours they have that they end up doing 65% direct services. I'm really clueless. I have no idea which hours to use. I don't know if someone wants to clear up which numbers they ended up using, because this is, even with the amount, with the numbers I use, different numbers, I'm getting below the 50% threshold every time. So I'm leaning towards no, but I'd like to hear everyone else's hours.
Representative Rowland.
Yeah, if you read the ASM bylaw of 2.0323C, 2C, it says, oh, did I? Oh, 1 second. 2.2C. There's 2. Okay, 2C. Okay, then 5, based on bylaw subsection. Does the group provide this to students of the university specific identifiable direct service and stuff? According to what it says there, it seems like they do, because the program can be available upon request by recipients. They said that with the advocacy training. They said later on that they weren't able to do it this year, but if we did give them eligibility, that it would be a direct service. Or that it would be requestable, sorry. The program can be tailored subject to the needs of the recipients. I think that it is. The program must be accessible to the recipients regardless of the recipient's participation or membership. I think that is true. The program must be available to recipients continually throughout the course of the fiscal year. Yes, it is. The program is on events, series events, you know, we all know that one. And yes, that's true. The university student must be the principal beneficiaries of the group's programming, and yes, that's true. So even though I think that question can be answered more directly, I mean, later on questions, I think, have more contention, but that's basically definitions. And I don't know if we're more looking at the specific and identifiable direct service instead of defining it based on what the bylaw says.
Representative Schlitt.
Yeah, I was just going to say earlier in reference to what Representative Crandall was talking about with the 2 meetings per week, I asked the group about that just to clear the record with it, and they did say that, I still agree there's a lot of confusion, but they did say that they're looking to change it. That's kind of how they historically did it, but they're trying with, because I asked them, what would you do with the money if you got, you know, if you're eligible and you receive the funding? They're looking to make that service tailorable. I still agree, though, that you know, there's a lot of confusion about just between, you know, campaigns, stuff like that. There's way too much confusion to make it identifiable, but just wanted to clear the record on that one.
Okay. Representative Crandall.
Okay, so hearing some new information and just going through the direct service criteria. So can the program be available upon request by recipients? Going through the application, it says the service is initiated by, and this is specific on the advocacy training program, the service is initiated by the request of a student or a group of students who seek advocacy training. The requesting student conveys a particular needs to the CFAC member, who then does a needs and scope assessment with consultation. This initial planning stage helps determine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like that is fulfilled. The program can be tailored subject to the needs of the recipients. It said that within the mission of the group, which is the point, the advocacy training, the program must be accessible to the recipients regardless of recipients' participation and/or membership in the group. That's fine, though the internship program is separate, so we don't have to worry about that here. The program must be available to recipients to continue throughout the course of the fiscal year. It is. The program is not an individual event, series of events, publication, or leadership development opportunity for group members. That's the one that I'm having the most difficulty with. And hearing the information that they want to change it and clears up a little bit of my confusion in that it is not a set twice a week event, even though it says at the beginning of the application, but then says later that's requestable. So if it is put on a set time, but it is also requestable, I would say that it is requestable and is not a series of events or individual event. So I would say that it does meet that criteria. And then university students must be the principal beneficiaries. It is. So I think it is a direct service. And then my hours came up to 53.9%, and that's cutting out all of the research, the communication of direct services, some of the prep time. I'm still a little bit worried about the workshop advocacy prep, even though they said they did work with individuals or group members during that prep time. If that's technically a direct service or not, if I should count those hours as direct service, so that's where I'm sort of on the edge. And I'd like to hear more debate about that. And I'd also like to hear more debate about specifically why members think that parts of the advocacy training program aren't a direct service.
Representative Vines.
So yeah, just to address some of what's been said, I think my biggest concern right now is in terms of, in terms of what they've said that their direct services are. If they said that their advocacy training was a direct service and they had like a written plan of how they would go about these direct services and what tactics they would use to advocate for this or that, or basically how they go about training people and having people, work to build up, advocacy skills and advocate on behalf of the issues they believe in on campus, be it, the Green Jobs program or the Concealed Carry program. I think that would be a very good case for a direct service. Obviously, I've seen a fleshed out version of it, but basically, just in terms of what I've seen in the application, what I've heard in the hearing, I've heard, again, advocacy training is part of it, is calling an expert in, having them speak, and have people learn from that speaker. Direct services, the hour breakdown includes networking with a national organization. Just the first sentence of number 4 on page 2 of their eligibility application saying that their direct services are made available through general weekly meetings, frequently updated website, Facebook group, email list, and then it says things that would maybe be considered direct service, but it doesn't expand on them when it says breakout groups, volunteer opportunities, campus outreach programs, campus awareness projects. And I mean, I just see no plan to actually administer their direct service. And again, I do think advocacy is a direct service. I just don't have any, I see no plan on how it's going to be administered. It's inconsistent, it's changing depending on page you're on the eligibility application. Again, the budget narrative comports with what they were saying before about the direct service bringing in speakers and having people get educated from those speakers, basically make it an entirely honorarium focused service, which I don't think is a direct service. And I mean, I don't see anything there. I'm trying, I'm looking really hard, but I don't see anything there. And this is the last speaking turn, so I'm going to vote no on this application because I don't see them providing a specific identifiable viable direct service, and therefore everything at and below the question is the direct service provided by the primary focus of the group, and below that through there would be not applicable. I will be voting nay on this application.
Okay. Representative Qualiana?
Alright, so I think
in my opinion, the advocacy workshops would be a direct service. I'm having trouble differentiating between the workshop prep and the workshop development. And I'm kind of considering that all to be prep, I guess. And then what that kind of looks like if you go through and break it down is I find a lot of prep for not a whole lot of facilitation. And that kind of concerns me. So I think what I was going to do is use a formula similar to what Richie, I think, usually uses, which kind of cuts that prep time down. And so, you know, I would probably bring it at least to 1-to-1. I don't know where it's at exactly. I did not count the resource, research, creation, distribution. I did not count the networking, research, distribution. I did not count the communicate direct services to campus or the marketing to campus. I think those are all things that are not direct services to students, and so I'm under 50% right now. But I think they do have an identifiable direct service, although it is gray. I agree with that. But I think it's present.
Okay. Are there any other points of debate? Everyone's going to need to speak to how they are voting and why. I know some of you have
I will
already.
be voting nay.
Got it. Vice Chair Vandenhoven?
Yeah, pretty much the same grounds that Representative Vines is voting on. The first direct service requirement, I wrote no, because I don't see the specific identified direct service, so I'll vote no.
Representative Longstead?
I agree with the previous representative said. There's just too much contradiction for me. I think we asked a significant amount of times for more explanation. I just don't feel that we got it to say that it's clear and identifiable and specific. So on the same grounds, I'll be voting nay.
Representative Ellers?
I agree with the previous speaker that direct service exists, and we'll be voting there.
Representative Levenger?
I'll ditto the past two speakers, and also when I was going through the numbers of one, I was always very close to the 50. It was just kind of concerning, but I couldn't identify the direct service anyways, so I'll be voting there.
Secretary Harris?
I have to agree with Representative Vines. I think I said this before. I think there are parts, good elements, elements of a direct service, but it's not a full direct service just yet. So I have to vote no.
Are there any?
Just to be thorough, I'll go through all my criteria. If anybody disagrees with me and thinks that certain things are applicable that I don't, you can state your case. But so for general requirements, I'm answering yes, they are an RSO. Yes, the organization has written governing documents. Yes, the application has been completed and submitted. Yes, the representative of the group attended the eligibility hearing October 4th. I answered yes. The university students are the principal focus of the group's programming. And that university students are the principal beneficiaries of this group's programming. Accountability requirements, they were not receiving funds the previous year, and they did submit how they would administer a budget. The next three questions were not applicable, and yes, the group has not intentionally violated ASM or UW system financial policies, so I answered yes for that. And then once you get to direct service requirements, I answered no, like I said, on the first one, which makes the next next seven, not applicable, so like I said before, my overall vote is nay.
Are there any other points of debate? Representative Rolle?
Okay, well, I agree with Representative Vandenhoven in the first two categories. The direct services requirement, they do provide a specific and identifiable direct service, I believe. Has the group provided a written mission statement outlining the group's direct services? Yes, they have. Is the direct service provided the primary focus of the group? No. I got between 15.63 and, if you give me a second, I'll calculate the upper boundary, and 22.19%, which that would be including, as I said before, all of the prep, assuming that they worked with the group all the time during that. Is the direct service of the group aimed at reaching all university students? Yes. Are the university students the principal focus of the group? Yes. Are the university students a beneficiary of the group's direct services? Yes. Has the group demonstrated the university does not provide substantially equivalent direct service? Yes. Has the group demonstrated direct service is educational but not credit producing? Yes, because we're not counting the internship as a direct service according to them. My overall vote will be nay. And yeah.
Any other representatives?
So yeah, I think when looking at this application, I do believe they are providing a service. But I think a lot of the other representatives said I feel like there's a lot of double counting, and I think the person I was thinking that represents all the other uniform which was facilitation to develop an app as well as that. And with doing those calculations, got a little confused. So.
Representative Lorraine?
I mean, I'm just looking at the numbers here on the budget narrative. First of all, I do think they have direct services. But when I get to the primary focus question, I'm just using the numbers they originally gave us, and it doesn't meet the final outcome of 46.88%. So I will be voting nay on this application.
Representative Crandall?
So I'm trying to be consistent with the prep time with my other applications, and even if I were to count half of that workshop prep as working with the individual and group as a direct service, it still doesn't pass the 50 plus 1%. I'd have to count all of the prep development time to get above that. So I will be voting nay on this application. I do believe that they provide a direct service, however.
Are there any other points of debate? Seeing none, all those in favor of calling the question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes of the chair that carries. The question has been called. I will ask the secretary to call a roll. A vote of aye is a vote in favor of eligibility for CFACs. A vote of nay is a vote to deny eligibility for CFACs. A vote of abstain means you're not voting. Call roll whenever you're ready.
Crandall.
Nay.
Diaz.
Nay.
Allers. Harris. Nay. Lorraine.
Nay.
Lovinger. Mauer.
Aye. Nay. Sorry.
One more time for me.
Nay. Nay. Nay.
Gotcha.
Momstead. Nybart. No. Qualiana.
Nay.
Roland.
Nay.
Schlitt.
Nay.
Vandenhoven.
Nay.
Vines.
Nay.
A vote of 0 ayes, 13 nays, and 0 abstentions. CFAC is denied eligibility for fiscal year 14. Vice Chair Vandenhoven. Are there any objections to a 5-minute recess? Seeing none, we are recessed for 5 minutes. We will be back at 7:33. Or that is 7:33 right now, so we'll be back at 7:38. Thank you.
What date is that?
Yep. Yes, that was good.
Okay. You
Yeah.
still,
It's the
you still
8th.
think you can wait to do the questions?
We'll figure
Are
it
we
out.
done
We'll play
yet?
it by ear because now we won't have any
Time is
more
all relative.
questions
We should know.
from now on. So yeah. Well,
if
so
you
well, no budget.
understand
We have question and answer. So
how
we're
life
going
exists in a relative
to questions for.
Only relatively exists.
So, for this one, you said, even though it's not applicable, you said yes?
You're a good person, you know that?
Well, for these, you still said yes, even though it's not applicable, right?
I don't.
You know? Oh,
But those matters.
okay.
You can also request documentation.
Why did you pay? You're not a good boyfriend, Ron. I'm sorry. You're not. You need to
Come on.
start immediately.
I'm begging my girlfriend to come here, this is fun.
Yeah.
Based off your extensive.
Totally.
Ouch. Based on your extensive.
You'll regret that. Listening that, by the way. Now I need to write everything in pen so that no one can edit it. Well, aren't you in love with yourself, Jermaine?
My signature.
I know, me too. Gotta get it, John Hank.
Yeah, I'm working on it. It's getting closer. I love my G. My G is the best.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
That doesn't what? It doesn't look like.
What's today's date?
That's the cursive G, Richard.
I don't know, my signature is evolving into a scribble. Wow, it's really most yeah. Scribble.
I guess, Joe.
I don't think anyone actually.
What?
There's 3 hours covered. That is number 4.
Just say in the right way line. And I'm gonna be in trouble.
Why?
Going through really long time.
This is like just contours, table and
Just like, you know,
okay. Well, I'll just put them on the table.
is it loud?
No, I mean just
Chilling, I was chilling. People, I was like, hey, I think that was over. My ring ain't chill session.
Correct.
Did you see?
How do they not know?
Eligibility process changed.
That's freaking brilliant.
We should just stop funding these. It's too much of a pain when people cry and then.
You can actually get them.
No, here's what I think we should do. I think we should do like other schools, like tiered programs.
Oh God, here we go.
No, have caps. Have caps and have a tiered program. You meet a certain amount of percentage, you get a tiered cap. You're really going to it's correct.
You know it.
And then you have actual viewpoint mutual decisions all the way. Like, okay, if you make 15% direct service requirement, you have a, I don't know, $10,000 cap. If you meet 25%, you get a $50,000 cap.
So it should be all direct services. So like, what about the grants? For like
Events. The teacher did it simple. They just, we found that budgets are simple.
Get rid of financing. So how would we look at grants?
Do you want to be in the grant? Every single student organization would automatically be a student service.
I don't watch television.
Okay, why do we have student organizations and we have ones that give services? Like, don't all student organizations indirectly, isn't it the point they do? If they provide no direct services, then you give them a 0 automatic cap, and then they have to apply to get the money outside that through this same organization. That's why
I had my back, I forgot to say.
you have to analyze it on an event by event basis, and that's why it'd be great to have an appropriations branch, because the appropriations branch you'd have a system at the top, and then you'd have subcommittees that would work on individual like
We'll be right back.
or travel or whatever. You'd get rid of the political mess that finance is.
So you're setting cap, you don't necessarily approve them, approve the money.
So like, for instance, here's the thing
Call this meeting of the Student Services Finance Committee back to order. It is 7:39 p.m. on Monday, October 8th, 2012. We are still in the hearing room of the Student Activity Center, and Chairperson is still presiding. We will move right along with eligibility decisions. Medieval Warrior Craft League. Floor is open for debate. Representative Meyer.
I move to yield 3 minutes to Matt Manis to answer a question.
What is your question?
If one doesn't physically fit into that equipment for the warrior trainings, and also is physically disabled, how would they receive the warrior trainings?
I guess I would first make the point that the criteria says aimed at reaching all university students, not necessarily is capable or does actually reach. You're going to make every effort possible. You're going to try and include every university student. You will tailor the service to the greatest degree possible to allow them to. That said, as far as size goes, the actual equipment, barring some sort of freakishly large head that I haven't seen on campus yet, we will be able to suit up, I'm pretty sure, everybody to participate. And again, as far as someone who's physically unable to, we will try to try to tailor the service such that they will be able to physically participate. But the nice thing about the service is that the mission of the service, the mission of that program, is to impart understanding, impart knowledge, impart all of that goes along with it. And so we can still do that even if they aren't able to physically participate. They can still learn the moves, they can still learn all this stuff.
Representative Vines.
Yeah, just addressing that point. I think I understand the concern about people who aren't who may not be physically able to perform some physical aspects of the service. However, I do think that the group has made an effort to ensure that that somebody who wouldn't be able to do the physical part of the service would be able to partake in a lot of other aspects of the service. And I don't think the spirit of the is aimed at reaching all university students criteria. I don't think the spirit of that is to not allow for any physical activities of any sort. I understand the concern. I think the group has made a very, very serious effort to accommodate for that concern. And in terms of that one at least, and I'll let other people speak with everything else, but in terms of that criteria, at least for now, I think that's I think that's a yes. I think the group is okay with that.
Are there any other points of debate? Representative Lovenger.
I think it says, in this direct service, it says, the program can be tailored subject to the needs of the recipients within the mission of the group. That's in the bylaws, 2.032 3CII. So, it doesn't say aimed at tailoring, it says can be tailored. I, for the record, have not judged any group based on specifically physical performance in a direct service. Therefore, I'm not quite sure how this works. Yet, if I were to go directly to those words, I would say that it cannot be tailored to every single person's physical capabilities, although I'm not married to that idea, so I'm also looking to situation a little bit.
Okay. Representative Schlitt.
Yeah, kind of going off of that, I guess the question I'm throwing out too, because we haven't really seen any other group like this that is offering this physical component. Most other groups that
Point of information.
On point.
Are we allowed to take other groups into account when making this decision?
I mean, not really. You should remain consistent with.
Okay, I'm trying to get towards tailorability. I just, to finish that thought of, I guess my question is if something is, I guess, untailorable, to meet everybody's needs, can you consider it tailorable? It's just what the physical part of that you can't. It seems difficult to meet, the wide array of, body types, everything like that you would need. And as Mr. Mann has said, you can divide up that time 50-50 between the academic portion and the physical portion. So if you would cut that out, that would mean, that would, for direct service hours, you'd be cutting out 43.9% of that. I'm not coming to any conclusions here. I'm just throwing this out. I'm curious to see what other people think about that.
Representative Rowland?
Yeah, with people talking about what they have previously talked about, if, oh my gosh, I'm blanking here. 1 second. Okay. Can I pass?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Crandall?
So hearing some other previous representatives' concerns, looking at that direct service criteria, the program can be tailored subject to the needs of the recipients, and then it clarifies within the mission of the group. I think that according to the mission of the group, whether or not the physical or the academic portion themselves they do fit within the mission of the group and they are able to be tailorable. If the idea is that they're not tailorable to 100% of every case that you get, there are other aspects of other programs that fit within the mission of the group that are tailorable. So the program as a whole is tailorable to every single person because it involves both an academic and a physical component.
Okay. Representative Levenger?
Yeah, just to go off what Representative Schlitt was saying, I do think that it is a direct service, given what Representative Crandall was saying in terms of hours and percentages. I also got the 43%, and so that was my concern. In terms of what Representative Rowland was saying, I was not trying to bring up anything past for any other sake than to keep with DPN and trying to understand how this process works on my first time on this board. But yeah, I do think that it is a direct service in terms of the hours and which hours I can count. That is where I have a little bit of confusion and would love to hear more debate.
Okay. Representative Meyer?
Yeah, I just want to yield 3 more minutes to Mr. Manis.
To ask what?
Yes, I guess if is it 2 separate sections of a direct service where if one can't do the physical aspect, they can do the scholarly training?
Absolutely. I guess, again, I have 2 points to make about this. The first is that tailorability doesn't mean tailorable to an infinite degree. We can change it based on their needs, but that doesn't mean that we have to change it to meet every single need. The whole point of that criteria is to prevent these cookie cutter programs from saying, hey, we're doing this, and this is the only thing that you can do. The tailorability there is to be malleable, to change based on those individuals, and that doesn't mean that you need to be able to tailor to every single person in every single circumstance. What was the question? Separating it. It's one program. We have one warrior training program. That is our direct service. It has multiple components, just like, for instance, Sex Out Loud has parts with toys and some provides information, whatever. There's multiple components to each program, but the program as a whole is tailorable and aimed at reaching all university students. You can't just get one and not the other. The only reason that may be the case is in the event in which you cannot participate in the physical portion, but that portion is still aimed at reaching everybody. We will make a good faith effort to try and include everyone, even in that part. But if they can't, they can still participate in the rest of the program, thereby fulfilling our mission for that program and our mission overall.
Okay. Representative Schlitt?
I'll pass for now.
Are there any other points of debate? Representative Rowland?
I would just like to hear a few people's opinions about the group only having 30 people that they can train at once.
20.
What?
Am I correct? 20? Yeah.
Oh, 20. Okay, I just wanted to hear some other people's opinions of if that violates the tailorability clause of direct services.
Secretary Harris?
So I really don't see, and help me see what, I don't really see a problem with this application. There's no red flags for me in this application. It seems that they show that yes, it is tailorable. They show that yes, you can have it on request, and it seems like they do nothing but the direct service. Like there's no other component to their group but the direct service. With the 20 people requirement. At first, when he had first said it, and I'm drawing my knowledge off of listening to the tape again, he said, we won't do people over 20, but then his last statement towards the end of that statement was, we'll probably split them up. So to me, if they are splitting them up, they're still, everybody's still getting the service, and that's okay. So I guess go back to my original statement. I'm not saying, and help me out, I'm really not saying what's wrong with this application, what they're not meeting. So somebody can just help me see something, because maybe I'm missing it, but I don't see any problem with this application. And especially, I'm not speaking to it, I'm speaking to you, but especially for Representative Levenger, just help me see how you got to where you got, because I'm not saying right now I'm voting. I'm not gonna say where I'm going to vote right now, because I want to see what other people think, but I don't have a problem with this application right now.
Representative Hines.
Point of information, am I speaking out? How many more signatures are on there?
Yeah, you guys should keep that in mind now.
1 or 5?
One or 5?
Yeah.
Got one.
One after this, right? Okay. Okay, so just to address the concerns about only being able to make groups of 20 people, I think that also goes within tailoring within the mission of the group. And honestly, considering that, like, if we grant them eligibility, considering that we have to pay for the equipment to, you know, host sessions that would be whatever size, like, I wouldn't feel comfortable paying for equipment for like 50 or 100 people at the same time. I think, again, that's just in terms of the amount of capacity the group can handle at one time. I think that's completely reasonable as well. And quite honestly, I wouldn't want them having sessions that are any bigger than that, because it would be costing us a ridiculous amount of money to be able to suit folks to adequately provide that service. So I don't think that's an issue as well. I agree that in terms of tailorable, is it reached all university students? I do think it is. And I also think that this application generally is pretty good. I'm going to wait for more folks to talk, because I know there's some concern. But yeah, just to address those questions, that's what I think.
Representative Diaz.
Okay, so when it comes to the application, I would be abstaining for various reasons, but basically just overall blanket statement, I cannot remain as a VPN of this group, so I'll be abstaining.
Thank you. Representative Meyer.
Yeah, I guess to speak to some previous points, my only concern with this application is that it was said in the presentation and it's in the PowerPoint that they're requiring both components of the direct service in each workshop. So they're requiring the training and the scholarly program in each requested workshop, and I just think that there's potential to be doubling up if someone is incapable of receiving the warrior training, whether the scholarly component would be a totally separate aspect. And I think that if the scholarly component is the only part that's tailorable, I mean, there's still questions with that. So I mean, I'm not decided either way right now, but that's I think where the question arises.
I've been notified that you have unlimited speaking terms in debate. I apologize for that. Thank you to the people who have corrected me for that. Representative Crandall.
Okay, so hearing a couple concerns, specifically about the definition of tailorable. This is just from dictionary.reference.com. Specifically says that capable of being adapted to a given purpose or function. Since we're talking about the program as a whole here as being tailorable, the program as a whole is tailorable, whether it be physical or academic scholarly portion of the program. We can't just start creating fictional programs within a program. I don't think that's within our purview to do that. The group gave us a program, and we have to decide if that program, singular, is tailorable. Now, in terms of hours, specifically within that, I think it's been mentioned before, and I just want to reiterate the point that knocking off hours of a direct service just because supposedly people can't participate in a facet of that program, and then there's debate over really how can they not participate, and I'd like to hear thoughts of how people think they cannot specifically participate due to a disability or a handicap to participate in that program. Then knocking off hours total, the whole thing, I think is a little over the top. And I would go back to saying that we're looking at the program. Can the person who has that handicap participate in the program as a whole, and can it be tailored to them? Yes, even if they aren't able to participate in that one handicap area. So I see no problems with this application unless some other representatives have a specific problem in terms of hours or in terms of this being a direct service.
Representative Lorraine.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go straight down all the questions, because I think it's about time to do that. Is the group a registered student organization? Yes, it is. Does the organization have written governing documents? They do. Has the eligibility application been completed? It has. Did a representative of the group attend the scheduled eligibility hearing? Yes, someone did. Are university students the principal focus of the group's programming? Yes, it was clear that 100% of the focus was the students. Are university students the principal beneficiaries of the group's programming? Yes, 100% was presented. If the group was not receiving funding in the previous year, did the group provide a written plan for how they will administer the budget? Yes, that plan was provided through email. If the group is receiving, yeah, the next three are not applicable. Am I required to go through those? I don't know. But has not the group intentionally violated ASM or EW system financial policies, state or federal law, or the group's written governing documents within the last 2 years? Yes, they have not. Does the group provide to the students of the university a specific and identifiable direct service? They do. Their warrior program, I do believe, is a direct service, completely and fully. Has the group provided a written mission statement? Yes, they have. Does the direct service provide the primary focus of the group? Yes, I used the same numbers they gave me. 87.8% is direct service hours, therefore it is the primary focus. Is direct service group aimed at reaching all university students? Yes, it is. As for the tailorability of that, I mean, it's going to be impossible. Tailorability is question. You're not going to be able to tailor it to everyone. Simply put, and to the best of your ability. They have showed that they will be able to do that. University students, the principal focus of the group's direct services? Yes, 100%. Are they the principal beneficiaries? Yes, 100%. Has the group demonstrated that the university does not provide a substantially equivalent to direct service? Yes, they compared it to one of the PE programs provided by the school, but it is significantly different. Has the group demonstrated that direct service is educational but not a credit producing activity? Yes, and therefore I'll be voting aye on this application.
Representative Malmsted.
I guess I just want to look at the mission of this group, and what I see is the understanding, knowledge, and the practice, and just kind of talking about the two sorts of aspects to this direct service. When the person goes to get a direct service, they're understanding that part of this direct service is the knowledge part, and the other half is practice. So when they go into that, they're understanding that it's tailorable within that mission of knowledge and practice. And so, to me, that seems pretty clear cut that a person going to this group for the direct service knows what's going to be, and they can tailor it insofar as saying, I want to learn about this certain topic. That's where the tailorability comes in my eyes. So as far as that being tailorable, I think it definitely is within the mission of the group. Because education and practice is what they provide. That's what they told us, and I think they made it pretty clear out for us over that. That goes with the direct service requirements, which I'm saying yes, they provide a specific identifiable direct service, and that's more than 50% of the time is spent towards that direct service. So as right now, I'm leaning towards yes for all the requirements. There's still some things that I'd like to hear from other people, but I'm leaning towards yes.
Representative Ellers.
As of right now, I see no issue with this application.
Okay. Representative Meyer.
All right, so I understand the educational component is clearly educational, but when you and tailorable as well. But when you look at the fact that there's two components to this direct service, it's required to perform the warrior training as well as the warrior scholarly program. And that's obviously to avoid people from only doing the warrior training, because if you get 200 people to sign up for that and nobody signs up for the scholarly program. But I think that requirement is sort of a double-edged sword, not to be funny. But if you're requiring both components, you're requiring physical activity. Under the weapons training, it says that students don, this is from the presentation that we were provided, students don safety equipment and learn hands-on how to use historical combat styles. Now, hands-on and they're donning safety equipment. So I think that for 50% of this direct service, people are required to don safety equipment and they're learning hands-on learning. And I think that this physical requirement sort of makes half of this direct service not tailorable to students who can't do these things. And the fact that they're both required, you can't just do the warrior training or the warrior scholarly program. I think that that sort of negates the program, but I'm open still to hear other people speaking.
Representative Rowland.
First off, what our previous representative said, they said during their hearing that you could do the educational portion by itself. You didn't need to enact the physical activity of it. I will be voting aye on this application. I agree with Representative Lorraine, I believe it was, who stated all of the criteria. And I got 78.37% direct services by counting all of the implementing, and then half of that time of what the implementing would be planning, coordinating, addition added on, so like 370, then half of that is 185, and then you have 370 plus 185, and then that, you know my math by now. So yeah, anyways, I'll be voting aye on this application.
Vice Chair Van den Oven.
I'll be abstaining.
Representative Schlitt.
Yeah, okay. Going off of what Representative Meyer said, I guess the big thing is people were talking about how you can't divvy it up, split it half and half between them. I get that. So I guess forget about that. So if you have to put them together then, I mean, we're saying that's the whole direct services, the educational component and the physical component. But if 50% of that direct service, it doesn't meet that, it can't eat, I mean, it's just not even possible to be tailorable at that portion. That just would seem to me to mean that the whole thing is not tailorable then. We're trying to lump it all together into one direct service.
Representative Lorraine.
I'll pass.
Representative Crandall.
Just to speak to what previous representative said again, the group said that they didn't have to do the physical portion of the program in the presentation. As well as, it also says, we will then work with the student to design a custom workshop sessions that best fits their skill level, interest, and schedule. Skill level, I think we can interpret that to mean the ability to perform a specific physical skill or academic skill in this case, which means that they are tailoring to people who have a handicap in a physical area. And then again, I would like previous representatives who have spoken on the fact that students would not be able to do the hands-on portion of this program to specifically state how they would not be able to do the physical hands-on the program. I don't see anyone who can't be able to put safety equipment on them, like or be able to participate. I mean, people who have physical handicaps are able to participate in swimming, etc., etc., etc. So I would just like some specific statement as to how they would not be able to participate.
Representative
I'll be voting aye.
Representative Ives.
Yeah, I agree with some of the previous speakers who were expressing, who were voicing support of this application. I think that they provide us with identifiable direct service and warrior training, warrior scholar training. I guess the most contentious parts are the primary focus and the education of university students. I think the group made it pretty clear that if somebody isn't physically able to do some portions of the warrior training, they're obviously not going to be forced to. I think combining the warrior training and the warrior scholar training is a mechanism that the group used to ensure that they're aimed at reaching all university students. And I also, just for the record, don't think that that requirement I don't think the spirit of that requirement is meant to. I'm not being coherent today. And I don't think the spirit of that requirement is meaning to limit any kind of things with physical activities in them. So, I mean, yeah, I will be voting aye on this application.
Representative Rowland.
Pass.
Representative Levenger.
I believe I'll be abstaining on this application. I do not think I can be viewpoint neutral on it.
Sure. Representative Meyer.
I want to thank one of the previous speakers for pointing out what was said in the presentation on the fact that you can receive these cognitive training without the warrior training. I mean, it didn't say in the PowerPoint and on the notes, but I'm sure it was spoken to in the presentation. I agree with yes to every other component of this application, so I'll be voting aye.
Representative Lorraine.
I think it's important not to be overly critical on the tailorable aspect of the service. I mean, for example, in any other direct services that other groups have provided, say if a student was deaf and blind, they have shown no ability to translate the direct service into Braille. I mean, simply, it's tailorable in a reasonable fashion. Therefore, it is tailorable, and yeah, simple as that.
Okay. Representative Colliano.
I will be abstaining. I will be abstaining.
Okay. Are there any other points of debate? Representative Paulson.
I don't think I ever said what I was going to vote, and I'll be voting aye.
Okay. Secretary Harris.
We'll be voting aye.
Any other points of debate? Representative Schlick.
Too confused on this, can't come to a decision. I think it's tough to be viewpoint neutral also. I'll have to abstain.
Okay. Are there any other points of debate? All those in favor of calling the question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous of the chair, that carries. The question has been called. The vote of aye is a vote in favor of giving eligibility to Medieval Warrior Crafts League. A vote of nay is a vote to deny eligibility for Medieval Warrior Crafts League. A vote of abstain means you are not voting. Secretary, please call roll.
Crandall.
Aye.
Diaz. Ellers.
Aye.
Harris. Aye. Lorraine.
Aye.
Levenger.
Abstain.
Meyer.
Aye.
Momstead. Qualiana.
Abstain.
Rowland.
Aye.
Schlitt.
Abstain.
Vandenhoven. And Vines.
Aye.
Vote of 8 ayes, 0 nays, and 5 abstentions. Medieval Warrior Craft League is granted eligibility for fiscal year 14 and 15.
Go for a 5-minute recess.
It's been a motion for a 5-minute recess.
Second.
Any questions? Okay. We'll recess for 5 minutes. We will be back at 8.
Watch myself.
I can't add 13. Please make sure you fill out the whole thing.
If I abstain, it's to vote out.
No, circle abstain.
I have to explain my abstention.
Nope.
You never have to
don't.
explain abstinence. It's a bitch.
Do you know of any time slots or anything?
Rich hasn't gotten back to me yet, so I'm trying to work on it. I will get back to you as soon as I hear from him, okay?
I'm the first one to request it.
Stop.
You should be
Me?
No, not you.
That's why I did.
What?
Maria. Kick you out of my meeting room right now. I know I can't.
What?
I'm gonna eject you.
Oh, that's a lot of things.
That's all.
That's true. You know, you should use acronyms.
Yeah, you should just like.
You should have like rep 1 through the rest.
Yeah, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Rep 1. There's no true representative by last name.
it would make things a lot easier, because then I can actually say, according to Representative one. The what?
What?
Yes, I understood it. Ellie kind of freaked out when you said that, but I understood it.
People didn't understand what braille is?
I'm wondering if anyone understood the point I was making.
Yes.
Because that was everyone else's.
It's funny, I haven't heard anything about this.
Kevin, I didn't mean to insult you, I just wanted you to know that. And there's no way how to do it other than Robert's rules by sounding like a jerk.
I love that.
I mean,
Technically, then we wouldn't even know who was painting us.
What?
yeah.
Because that was their primary program. This person can hold their arm.
I don't know what I did with my snake.
You should let her. Yes.
Is there anything I can do with this one?
Okay. Otherwise, I can prep, I'll just figure out.
Ellie's just doing her own.
Yeah, I'm on the
Yep.
Everyone takes long. But you should spend time with your girlfriend. How long is she staying for?
clean.
And you're here. Wow.
I haven't yet.
If there's no reason to think you were just doing your job.
Scalable is a binary function. It either is or isn't, but not to a degree. Expect plenty of lobby meetings from me on the budget.
Oh, yeah.
What? I got him in my trunk. I want to go around.
Get out if you're doing this.
Look at her. We already voted, don't worry. Just for sword.
How did you come here?
Why do you consider homework?
They destroyed.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to
I'm not even trying. Guys, it's 8:13. So I call this meeting of the Student Services Finance Committee back to order. It is 8:13 p.m. It's still Monday, October 8th, 2012. We're still in the hearing room of the Student Activity Center, and Chairperson is still presiding. Budget hearings, we have none. Budget decisions, we have none. Budget appeals, we have none. New business, we have none. Old business, we have none. Special orders, appointment to the Healthcare Advisory Board. Sue, I'm just going to read a little something on that. Healthcare Advisory Board advises University Health Services regarding its services, programs, and annual budget. Among the issues discussed are student health insurance plans, the new building, responses to concerns, specific programs UHS is involved in, such as the joint program with Rec Sports, advising on and approving. The budget is a major part of committee business. So there are 7 student seats on the Healthcare Advisory Board. Those are appointed through shared governance. Chair Searing has said that if we wanted to make a recommendation for an SSC member to be appointed there, he will. Can I finish?
Yes. Just raising my placard.
Thank you. It's not really funny. Where's the laugh? Okay. So 7 student seats. We get to recommend somebody for shared governance to appoint that. Usually there's an SOC student on there. That just helps us get some more information when they present their budget. Are there any questions first on that position? Representative Rowland, do you have a question?
Oh, no. I was just...
Representative Crandall.
How many times does that meet?
Their meeting schedule says to be announced, so I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it's even a weekly thing. I would guess it would be like bi-weekly or monthly, at most. So I definitely don't think it's a big time commitment or anything like that. Like I said, it's just so that we can have a little bit more information about the budget. Is that Roland, do you have a question?
No.
Are there any other questions on the position? Seeing none, the floor is open for nominations. Representative Roland.
I nominate Representative Crandall.
Is there a second?
Second.
Representative Crandall, do you accept?
Yep.
Are there any other nominations? Other nominations? Seeing none. Yeah, he accepted already. So, are there any questions for Representative Crandall? Representative Vines.
Will you be live streaming these meetings on Crandall.com?
There's no confidential or private material in the meeting? Sure.
Wait, I know.
Are there any other, Secretary Harris?
Motion to close questioning.
Okay. Are there any objections to closing question and answer? Okay, seeing none. Oh, sorry, I never let you speak to your nomination. Would you like to speak
You never
to your
even allowed
nomination?
me to speak to it.
Yeah, I didn't let either of you speak to it. Sorry about that. Would you like to speak to your nomination,
Yes.
Representative Crandall? Go for it.
Okay. Well, I think that Representative Crandall will be very good on this board. He wants to be a doctor, so he obviously has interest in healthcare advisory boards, and I think he'll make a great appointment to it.
Would you like to speak to your nomination?
I would like to echo the previous representative. I do have an interest in healthcare policy, so yes, I would like to be on that advisory board.
Wonderful. The floor is open for debate on the nomination. Are there any points of debate? Representative Vines?
I think Ronald Crandall would be great on this board. I think we should call the question.
Okay, are there any other points of debate? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of calling the question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, in the years of the chair that carries, the question's been called. All those in favor of appointing Representative Crandall recommending Representative Crandall's appointment to the Healthcare Advisory Board, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, in the years of the chair that carries, you have been recommended for appointment to the Healthcare Advisory Board. Congratulations. All right. Moving along, appointment to the CCTAP Advisory Board, which is not actually called the CCTAP Advisory Board. It is actually called the, why is this doing? Okay, the University Child Care Committee. So I apologize for my mishap on there. So the UCCC, I'm just going to read a little bit about it. Thank you. This is the board that manages all child care services on campus, which includes CCTAP, which is the Child Care Tuition Assistance Program, which is provided funding through segregated fees. They are not allocable. So along with overseeing and approving the budget of CCTAP, the UCCC also makes recommendations to the provost and campus child care coordinator regarding the vision and mission for campus child care, implementation of comprehensive campus child care systems, in evaluation of the operations of the campus child care system, accountability of all existing and proposed child care facilities, programs, and services, and priorities for allocating space, facilities, and funding for child care. There are 2 student seats. One is currently open, and as with the Healthcare Advisory Board, Chair Searing has told me that SFC can make a recommendation and they will appoint that SFC student, being that they do the budget. The floor is open, or are there any questions on that position at all? I know that they get a really nice lunch when you meet with them. I've heard great things about the lunch. Not that that's why you should be on it. I'm just saying they also have nice lunch. So just in case anybody was gonna not want to do it, there's lunch. Floor is open for nominations. Representative Lorraine.
I nominate Representative Roland.
Is there a second?
Second.
Representative Roland, do you accept your nomination?
As much as I love lunch, and I really love lunch, and I also find kids tolerable, I'm going to decline this nomination.
Okay. Representative Roland, do you have a nomination?
I nominate Representative Levenger.
Is there a second?
Point of information.
On point.
What day is this?
The meeting schedule is also not, Joanna. It's quarterly. It's quarterly, so you would only have to go.
Which day?
Oh, I don't know. It says TBA again.
I I am going to decline based on the fact that my schedule is so busy that I do not want to not be able to make these meetings. Otherwise, it sounds like something I'm interested in.
Gotcha. Representative Momstead.
I nominate Representative Ellers.
Is there a second?
Second.
Representative Ellers, do you accept?
I do.
Fabulous. Are there any other nominations? No other nominations. Okay. Seeing no other nominations, the floor for nominations is closed. Would you like to speak to your nomination, Representative Momstead?
It's great, guys. Express some interest about it, so I say.
Okay. Representative Ellers, would you like to speak to your candidacy?
No.
Okay. Are there any questions for Representative Ellers? Vice Chair Bajan. Are there any objections to closing question and answer? Okay. The floor is open for debate. Are there any points of debate? Representative Crandall.
Move to close debate.
Debate. Are there any objections to closing debate? Seeing none, all those in favor of calling the question, please say aye. Aye.
Oh, sorry, aye.
Takes less
Aye.
time.
Yeah. All right. All of those opposed to calling the question? Okay. Usually the chair that carries. The question has been called. All those in favor of appointing Representative Ellers to the University Child Care Committee, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Fabulous. Congratulations, you've been appointed to the University Child Care Committee. You've been recommended for appointment. Sorry, I got that wrong both times. I will let both of you know once that all gets worked out, and then I can put you in contact with the chairs of both of those committees, and you can find out the schedules. So, great. Report of the chair. Sorry. Sorry. Report of the chair. First of all, can everyone pass their flash drives to me? I hope you didn't forget them. Yeah, go work. I don't want your.
You're not taking that off.
I don't want.
Bringing that back off.
You're gonna have to.
Do it.
You have to. Thank you. Pass those.
Catch.
I don't own a flash drive.
You didn't get to keep it.
Yes. It's so big too.
Well, I don't know what that is.
Well, I mean, I didn't give it an official name. I just gave it.
Yeah, we should write our names on these.
Oh, good point. I have homework on mine.
Did you?
Yeah, whatever. I already turned it in.
Should we write our name on these or something? Because some people have homework on theirs. I don't want to be stuck with Devin's
Well, why
homework.
you shouldn't have put homework on?
I didn't. I'm just saying others.
Other representatives that you have.
I lost.
7, 8, 9.
You lost yours?
Rich, I have the Sports Illustrated calendar on there. So
Still missing some.
You have what?
Sports Illustrated child.
Don't throw it. I won't catch it. I promise I won't catch it.
Jova, let her try.
Congrats. I thought you'd like that. That will be good for your resume.
Where is mine?
Except I can't have these occasions, so I'll just say it after you.
Well,
Yeah, no.
say that your representatives have extreme confidence.
14. One person still has theirs. Who is it?
You get to me.
Is it Ron?
No, it's not. I just want to blame
threw
it.
it to you.
I had mine 10 seconds.
I just wanted to
I
play.
can't find it.
Okay, that's fine. Just get it to me later. Okay, alright. Stop it. Okay. So if you didn't get that to me just now, make sure you get it to me ASAP. So I will put all of the budgets on those. I'm gonna leave. I'm not sure if all the budgets will. I don't understand these things, so I don't know if all the budgets will fit as well as those things, but okay. Sorry. Okay. So I'll put all the budgets on those, and you'll get those back on Thursday when we will have the budget training. That shouldn't take a really long time, but please bring your member manuals, which you got on the retreat. If you don't have a member manual, let me know. Hopefully you have not lost yours. If you don't have one, let me know and I'll get it to you. But please bring that, because that has information that we'll be training with. I don't think that we'll have anything on that agenda as of right now. Again, like I was talking about last week, great job with eligibility. We are done, so that's fantastic. I think this went really, really quickly. You guys were very efficient, so I'm incredibly proud of the job you have done with eligibility, and now we will move on to budgets. During the budget training, I'm going to talk a little bit about just my personal expectations for budgeting this year, but mostly that'll be Rich doing training on all the processes and all the things that you have to, the rules you have to follow and all that. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else really to report. Are there any questions? Secretary Harris.
Will Joanne still be with us even though Rich is going to be here?
I don't know. Joanne, are you going to be here?
Will Rich replace you on the budget season or you stay?
Unless there is some extraordinary circumstance on the next one.
Yeah, but otherwise it'll be Rich.
Rich would come to the budget no matter what. Then it seems redundant to do the book.
Are there any other questions for me?
Question.
Yes.
When do I get a real placard?
I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'll get you a real placard. Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, one more question.
Yes.
Can I be officially attached to the listener?
Yes. I will.
Smooth.
Sorry.
Point of information.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Is the chair being biased towards the representative?
No, I'm just
We're not biased.
That's okay. No.
Anti-bias.
No, I'm not. I'm just busy and I forgot. So I'm sorry. I apologize.
She's being human.
Don't worry about it. Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, report of the vice chair.
SCB meets tomorrow.
Woo.
Again, if you can't be there Thursday, I know some people said they couldn't already, but be sure to let us know as soon as you can. And then, again, one more time, just, trainings aren't always the most fun, but just keep in mind the things we talked about earlier, about budgeting, and it really is important. It's obviously really, really important. So come ready to pay attention. Leave everything else at the door, I'd say, on Thursday. So that's all I got.
Any questions for the vice chair? Secretary Harris.
It's actually for both. Will there be like a mock budget that we can look at or go through, or
Rich did that.
Yeah, you can do one.
Yeah, I think we'll probably pull one. I would assume that Rich will grab one that won't, influence any decision making. It's kind of hard because we'll have to pull one that's not a GSSF anymore, because we don't want to pull one that we're actually going to look at. That'd be weird. So yeah, I will let him know that would probably be best, that we can run through one and see how that all works. Are there any other questions for the vice chair or for myself? Okay, seeing none. ASM Student Council report. We haven't had a meeting since the last SFC meeting. Future meetings, Thursday, October 11th, 2012. That is the budget training. Please, 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 please be here unless you have otherwise notified me. This is a mandatory training, so unless you have unavoidable thing going on, please, please be here. Unless you've talked to me already, if we've cleared it up. So yeah, just come prepared with your member manual and to learn. Are there any motions to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned at